Okay, last week you made a statement.
Right
You
at the
said
end.
right at the end, we were both trying to get off and go. Profit is theft.
I did. I did. I
That's the
said it.
statement. Please make
And if
your
you if you
case.
if you know me at all, you know that I feel that way. Uh,
Yeah.
and without getting too much into Marxian theory, um, basically, um, if an employer was paying the labor what they were worth, it would be impossible to have profit. So the employer has to pay less than the value that the labor is producing in order to turn a profit. Ergo, profit is theft. Like they're producing X amount worth of dollars, right? X amount worth of product. Okay.
Mm.
And they don't get paid for X amount of product. They get paid for a percentage of X product.
How do you quantify? Like, I think there's some jobs you would have problems quantifying product value in.
Like what?
The one that comes to mind would be a shelf stocker. Like, obviously, if we've learned during COVID, it's a necessary job for somebody to stock the shelves. But how do you assign a value to that?
It's a great question. Um, well, one would assume that that's part of a cog in a machine, yeah,
Okay.
and that's their labor produces profit. If they are shelving, I don't know how you quantify it, because so don't ask me because I'm not into that kind of stuff. But if they're shelving, they face up the product, they get it on the shelves, they turn it out, they get people to look at it. That's their job. Yes, I don't know how you would quantify it because I'm not in that business,
Okay.
and I don't know what the profit margins are, and I don't know any of those things.
So they call it like your paycheck or compensation in the business terms lingo, right? So like if we just look at this from a philosophical point of view, right?
Okay.
We're saying that a business, if it was okay, I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this because I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it this week. Um, Profit is theft because if they were paying the workers a fair wage or what they were valued at, there would be no profit for the business.
Right. It's called surplus value. Okay. So let me give you the Marxian definition. It says surplus value appear defined in Marx in the work in Capital, and it's basically the unpaid value of labor, the worker that creates a surplus product of which the entrepreneur becomes the owner, thus originating the essence of exploitation or capitalist accumulation. The worker is paid less than he actually produces. Um, Thus, what he actually produces and his wage is what's known as surplus value. The surplus value constitutes the extra profit of the employer. Surplus product or surplus value, when it enters the market, is converted into merchandise and sold, becoming money that does not return to the employee's pocket in the form of wages. Mm-hmm. The capitalist is able to increase the intensity of exploitation through the maximization of absolute surplus value, either by trying to extend the working day or by means of relative surplus value that is decreasing the number of workers. Oh, there's a formula. Hold on. Here's how you calculate. Uh, you have constant capital. It's C. C equals constant capital. Okay. V is variable capital, which is the workers, so they're variable, and then you have surplus value. So S equals revenue
Hold on. I'm actually writing this down because I'm the math guy, right? So constant capital plus the value of the workers or whatever.
Hold on. I'm just giving you the definitions. It's S equals R minus CV, or C plus V. So S is your surplus value.
Okay.
Equals revenue minus C, which is your constant capital, your machinery, materials, your fixed costs, plus V, which is your variable capital.
Of which workers are a part of.
Right, those are your production costs, workers.
So yeah, you're basically talking about profit equals overhead or revenue minus overhead plus variables, right?
Correct.
That seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why is it theft?
Because essentially you're stealing the value of their labor.
How are you stealing it?
Because you're exploiting the workers.
Oh, exploiting the workers that agreed to.
Just because you say it slow doesn't mean you're exploiting the workers. Shut up. Just because you say it slow doesn't make it sarcastic. So, it's worker exploitation.
But why, how is that exploitation? That's my point. You're getting paid to provide a service. Because you feel like you're not getting paid enough, that's a different conversation. Right? Those are negotiable things in a business world.
So what you're saying is that it doesn't matter. That
you signed up for this.
We've been over at Coconut Island. Calm down. Because it's not really a choice, because it's either work or die. And so that's not a choice.
But you can choose what to do. Can't you?
Depends. I can, because I live in a metroplex. I've developed skills. I went and did things. Yeah. But not everybody has that choice. But again, it's work or die.
Yes.
So
hey, look, we just got out of a conversation about people feeling value from work, right?
Right.
And what was the biggest cause of death outside of starvation for the Soviet Union? It was suicides. People were committing suicide because they didn't feel valued at work. They were just the cog of the machine.
You always go back to I hate when people bring up the Soviet Union.
I mean, we're talking Marxism. I don't know why that's outside the realm of conversation.
Because it wasn't Marxism. I guess on a macro level, but that's not. We've been over what the ownership of the means of production by the employees, not the fucking government.
So you're basically, I mean, hold on. Let's just get back to the main premise, right? Profit is theft.
Yes.
I think it can be. I don't think it inherently is.
So it's not, I mean, it's not super complicated. Okay. If you're making money, can you see me? My screen is frozen again.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
If you're making money that didn't come from your own labor, then it's coming from someone else's labor. You're stealing their money.
What makes you think that people and entrepreneurs aren't working? I would okay, you can make the argument like this for landlords. Yes. Sure. A landlord just owns a building and collects rent. They make money by having no labor. Maybe they manage it. Maybe they fix a washing machine every now and then, but that's about it. And they pay somebody else to do that, right? You could say that. But now you're going to say like an entrepreneur does nothing, yet they make money off of other people. And I think that's bullshit.
But you keep thinking in the terms of small business owners.
I'm thinking about Jeff Bezos right now. That motherfucker's flying all over the world.
Doing what? Going to space? Elon Musk is a great inventor because he bought Tesla. He bought this technology from somebody, so he's great.
He helped found PayPal, which is where he
shit.
made his money.
He didn't invent
PayPal
shit.
is Tesla is Musk. PayPal
Say
is
that
Musk.
One more time.
PayPal, that's Elon Musk. He created the whole payment structure that everybody fucking uses online. And you say he didn't do anything?
I said he
that's
didn't
ridiculous.
Invent Tesla. I'm saying he didn't invent Tesla. And he got his money from a fucking jade mine. Emerald mine. So yeah.
He didn't get the fuck you money that he has today from an emerald mine. He got that from PayPal.
PayPal was originally established by Peter Thiel, Luke Nosek, Max Levchin in December 1998 as Confinity. A company developed security software for handheld devices. It had no success with that business model. However, it switched its focus to a digital wallet that had fuck all to do with Elon Musk. Let's see. Confinity merged with X.com, an online financial services company founded in March by 1999 by Elon Musk. So no, he didn't invent it.
Oh, he just bought it?
He just bought it. Just like he just bought Tesla.
Alright. My bad.
I'm just saying, none of these motherfuckers are self-made.
Co-founded XCOM,
Even
online financial thing, installation months to 200,000. Huh. Company's investors regarded Musk as inexperienced and replaced him with Intuit CEO Bill Harris by the end of the year. The following year, they merged with Confinity to avoid competition.
Capitalism.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, interest is theft too. But, you know, the other side of that is what is taxation is theft.
You know, so like I'm not at the bottom of the food chain where I work, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like I recently got a promotion, and it's weird because like everybody looks at me a little differently, right? Talks to me a little differently because I've got manager in my name, even though like nobody actually reports to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
The level of shit that I have to deal with is exponentially higher right now.
What do you mean?
Well, I used to have to deal with the every, random failures. Like I'd be responsible for figuring out what happened and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And that would be like kind of a one-off thing, and maybe there would be like a few other pieces of equipment we would like look at.
Froze again.
Putting that fix
and
to.
My face is stuck drinking soda.
All right, you're
it's
back
water,
for me.
Still.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so every now and then there would be a piece of equipment that failed, and you'd have to figure out what happened and get a fix, and then you'd have to see if you needed to implement that fix on various other pieces of equipment, right? So right now, I've got, like, I went from basically having, like, just to deal with that random one-off thing to, like, now I've got 15 different deadlines throughout the year that I've got to meet. I've got to get all the RCI stuff done, the root cause investigation stuff done that I was still responsible for beforehand, on top of meeting all these deadlines and managing, like, how the maintenance organization as a whole handles everything at the plant. Now,
Okay.
what actually happens is I'm in the field less because I'm in the office doing managerial business things, strategic, look aheads, and trying to figure out how all these parts fit together. But I'm in the field less, so I'm less sweaty than the people out there like turning a wrench, right?
Yeah.
Am I doing less now or more? Is it still work?
You are in management, not in ownership.
Is it still
You
work?
are in management, not in ownership.
I'm
Yes,
just
that's
asking.
still
I'm
work.
just asking.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so it's
work.
still work. So
That's not ownership.
as I
So capitalism
continue
specifically
to
is
progress,
about the ownership and not doing labor and reaping the benefits. That's capitalism. To be a capitalist, you have to own the capital, not do the labor. So whether you're in management, whether you're in at the bottom rung, you're still doing labor.
how do you operate on a positive cash flow business without a profit?
Well, that's surplus
Actually,
value.
let me rephrase that. Because that's bad phrasing. How do you operate? How do you finance your business without a positive cash flow?
So surplus value is not the same thing as profit. Surplus value is strictly that, surplus value, and then a business has to maintain those costs and things of that nature.
By the calculation definition you gave me, as surplus value equals revenue minus cost.
But what I'm saying is that you're so sure, but your cost shouldn't be the labor. The labor should be paid what they're worth.
That C
so you
value,
have costs. You have C, which is your fixed costs. And you have V, which is your variable, which is your worker costs.
Right, but that's not how budgeting works. Your fixed cost goes into your overhead for your people. Now, whether you treat it as a fixed cost or not, you always have an overhead.
Correct. I don't understand the issue here.
So this notion that your variable.
So you're assuming
that
there's no way to pay your bills if you have a worker co-op, or if you pay employees the rest of, if you take out the C plus V, if you take out the V, that the C won't exist. You're also taking out the C.
I'm saying the definition that this is operating under, and the assumptions that this is operating under is wrong. Everything is variable. There's very little C value. The only C value you would have, like say you need a raw material to make your product, you would have to pay that C value for whatever that is, and that's variable too.
You're missing the point. So really, it's just like, while yes, sure, it's all variable. So it's just numbers. So it's just workers, operating costs.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it that way, instead of thinking constants and variables, because you're trying to mismatch all the other stuff. Like you're like, well, no, this is always variable. Operating costs, employees, those are combined for costs.
Yes, revenue.
Because again, all labor is to the ownership class is cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They have nothing to do with your business other than being an extra cost, and so the ownership then tries to lessen the costs, which is either pay people less than what they're worth, or they've got to cut down on other costs in other areas, right? And that's the crux of it. So cutting down on cost means paying people less than they're worth, paying people less than the value of their labor. You wouldn't have profit if you weren't paying people less than what they produced. Profit would be impossible.
The only way profit is theft is if people can't leave.
It's
Period.
it's the nature of capitalism in general.
Okay.
It is because there's not another option. There's not another option.
Because capitalism has more successfully brought more countries out of poverty than any other economic system.
Oh God.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh.
By
hurt.
It's cute that you say that, but like, so what is your definition of bringing countries out of poverty? Is it America? Is America out of poverty? Would you say that?
Globally, yeah.
Oh, so not the fucking people. Because I don't care
I
if
meant
we're
like
super rich.
our people
I don't care.
globally.
I don't care. That
the poorest American
the people
is better off.
Shut the fuck up. Don't say that shit, because no, that's not true. It's
yes,
not
it is.
true. It's not true.
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead and say it. Go ahead. The poorest American what? Is better off than who? Than the poorest African?
Yeah.
So, they have clean drinking water in Flint? They got...
Yes.
Are you in Flint, Michigan? They don't have those in Africa?
Oh, they have them in Flint. So they have clean drinking water?
They have clean bathing water in Flint?
No.
Okay. They got water bottles in Africa, too.
Don't they have those? Hold on a second. Didn't somebody...
No, they gave them all purifiers for their houses.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, didn't they, like, somebody buy a shitload of purifiers and put them in all the houses? Yeah. So they technically do have clean drinking water and bathing water now.
But
lead removers or whatever.
My point is that, yeah, our GDP is up. Great. Our stock market is up. Great. There are still people fucking starving in America. There are still 30,000 people that die from the lack of healthcare every fucking year in America. Mm-hmm. The greatest country in the world. The richest country in the world. But we still have people starving to death in America. But they got an iPhone.
So your solution is, rather than try and fix corruption and everything else, is to burn it all down.
Fuck yes.
Okay. Because
ultimately, it's still going to be exploitative. You can't fix the corruption, because the corruption is the nature of the society. You can't fix it. Mm-hmm. It is in its essence corrupt. It is designed to be exploitative.
Right. So then, what replaces it?
Market socialism.
Have we seen any of that? Where is that successful? What would that look like?
Mondragon Corporation. Companies that
let's see here. Hold
exist and market social. What?
So nothing about Mondragon Corporation is like illegal today. Like, they can do that wherever. Why don't we have more of those?
Because they would get crushed. If you're trying to start like a company, mm-hmm. obviously, right, in America, mm-hmm. and let's say I'm making T-shirts, right? What's to stop Jeff Bezos from lowering his cost of his t-shirts, making something similar, and then running me out of business, which is what Jeff Bezos does on a regular to everybody else, to all small business owners. But what's to stop that from happening? Nothing. There's no incentive to start a co-op. There's no program. There's no obviously business loans that you can take out to start one of those things. And people talk about the regular worker doesn't want to be held responsible for yada 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 yada, and so sure, right? Except for big business owners, once they reach a certain threshold, they're not responsible for anything they do either. The taxpayer pays that shit now, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. So I don't know what that threshold is, like how big a business has to be for the government to continually bail them out or give them subsidies, or like I don't know where that threshold is, but it exists, where the government then pays them Brazilians of dollars, and then they lay everybody off, and then they pocket the rest of the money that the government just gave them, and they're like, oh, we were struggling, and then they have $40 bajillion in their pockets. Golden parachutes.
Boeing, too big to fails.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do know that the system as designed is designed to have monopolies. It's designed to get as big and big and as big and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until I don't know where the end is, because
I wonder why.
Because what would happen to America right now if the GDP either became stagnant or it went down?
Maybe they'd actually finally enact some of the antitrust laws they have on the books that they've just been ignoring since 1988.
Yeah. Since Reagan. If you look at every issue in America right now that we have, really, truthfully, if you look at every single issue that everybody bitches about, everybody, both sides, it stems at Ronald fucking Reagan. That's where it starts.
I'm just looking, when was the last big antitrust filing?
Well, even, reading up on this shit that's going on with that's going on with the GME stuff. There are lots and lots of laws being broken by these hedge funds, by these big banks and things like that. And the worst thing that happens to them is a couple $100,000 fine.
Oh, you fined me $500,000,
and the SEC,
but I made $30 million or whatever. Yeah,
frozen again. Are you there?
I'm here. I was saying the $500,000 fine in the face of $30 million profit and market exploitation.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, fuck you.
Nobody's going to jail. The SEC has had their hands tied for the last 40 years. They're defunded. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's doing anything. You go steal a loaf of bread and you could go to jail tomorrow. They steal millions from people.
Well,
they get a fine.
You ever hear the story? Let's see. You give a man a gun, he can rob a person. You give a man a bank, he can rob anybody.
It's facts, man. It's sad.
So would you say that the financial institutions of America are actually the leading cause for the way that the capitalist market in your mind is so corrupt?
That's the start of it.
Yeah. I don't like here's the thing, I guess, like I don't have a problem with a business or business owners, small business, big business, I don't really care. The idea that making a profit is theft is nah, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Um, however,
I do think there is a difference between a small business and a big business.
I agree with that.
Because
I
because
agree with that.
because if you're a small business owner, most of them are working their asses off,
Right.
and they are producing labor.
Yeah.
They're
They're the
producing
people
value
who are
with
in the
their labor.
shop every fucking
Right.
day, 14 hours a day, whatever, right? And but
Right.
eventually they're working to get to the point where they don't have to do that, right? Like that's their goal, right? If I'm going to start a business, I'm going to put in the hours for 5 years,
And you
and
save
hopefully
your fucking money like everybody
and
else.
save your fucking money like everybody else and build your business up, hire some more people, and eventually I'm going to be able to take vacation, right?
And then you sell your shit because now you're not producing any value. You sell off whatever you own, and because you're no longer producing value, you're no longer laboring, so you sell it off. You don't get to keep earning.
I
That's how I feel about it.
built it. It's mine. And that's how I feel about it, right? And maybe, if you go public or whatever, then it becomes something else entirely, right? But that's got to be a very large company to do that usually, or have substantial investors. So anyway, I think a lot of what you're talking about and what pisses you off the most isn't necessarily that guy, but rather those people on the Wall Street and the monopolies, of which we both agree, I think. Monopolistic practices are bad. They're not good for the country. They're not good for the economy.
But we keep voting for the same fucking people. We keep voting, like, and here's, I guess I struggle, I got into an argument on a mom's Facebook post, got into an argument with some dude who's like, well, this is socialism. So I'm like, here we go. Right? And it was about education, and it was about, all of the indoctrination that the teachers are doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we are taught in this country at a very, very early age to fear and hate socialism, Karl Marx. The first time a teenager hears the word socialism, their first reaction in this country is, oh, oh, that's bad. It's bad. You can't say the word socialism. You can't say the word communism. And it is everything that you see, everything that you look at up until probably high school, that socialism is bad. And it's Russia, and it's starvation, and it's gulags, and that's what socialism is. There's no separation of theory versus death, right? Anytime it's socialism, you're gonna die. It's pretty much you're just gonna die. And so, and the ruling class brought that. They have promoted that ideal, and they've done a very, very good job. I mean, but it starts with just the propaganda that we all have to look at and we all see every day. It's the same shit that's going on with this with CRT. CRT wasn't a thing that anybody thought about it until Fox News said the word CRT, critical race theory, over 10,000 times in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought it up and they brought it up and they brought it up and they put it into your minds and they brought it up and they brought it up and it's the devil and they're indoctrinating your kids and you better run because you better be scared right now. And so what happens? People show up at these school board meetings and are like, CRT is being taught to our kids. And the school board's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So and now they're passing all these anti-trans kids legislations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and it all stems from fear-mongering propaganda. And I've said it 100 times before, and I'll say it again. If you want to know what's going on in your kid's class, go to the school. Go ask. Send an email. Make a phone call. It's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
Go volunteer in your kid's class. I dare you. I dare you to go to your second grade kids class of 30 fucking kids and tell me that teacher's indoctrinating your kids. We ain't got fucking time for that shit. Actually, speaking of indoctrinating kids, the assignment that I assigned.
This was last week's episode.
I know, but the assignment that I assigned for the healthcare stuff.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
Some really, really good arguments. I don't know if they copied and pasted them. I know for certain at least one did not, and his arguments were really good, better than yours. But I'm just kidding, it wasn't. But it was still really good for like a high school kid.
I wouldn't be surprised. He probably put more time in it than I did.
I was really impressed, and it was against my position, but I was obviously he got 100 on the assignment. Obviously, we haven't done our debate yet. We will, but have not yet, because now that I mention it, we are. It won't be next week because I have. Oh, here's my week for next week. Let me just break this down for you. Sorry, this is a sidetrack. A little bit. It's how my brain works. Sorry, but I have track meet on Monday all day. School Tuesday. School Wednesday. Track meet, and then we're going to Missouri for the college visit. So I'm not doing anything next week either.
Yeah, I mentioned my promotion and everything, and not to blow my own horn, but like I used to have like afternoons where I could just like go and get work done or go out in the field and go do stuff. I don't have any of that anymore. I had 3.5 hours of meetings on Friday, like from 12 to like 3:30 or whatever, and then by then my brain was completely shot.
Bro,
and
I'm telling you right now,
every day
like
now for me, every day, just fuck.
Like there are so many coaches that are fighting to be head coaches, like they really want that title, and all I can think is, y'all can have it. Like I don't want any part of it. And it sounds terrible, but like mostly I don't want to deal with the parents. Like
why didn't Johnny play?
Like
because
and then but it it's facts. But like the issues that I had were like were like anytime the kids did anything in the school building, I got a call. I had a meeting. Boom, boom, boom. Anytime one of the coaches did something wrong, I got a call. I had a meeting. Like it was like, and I, at that point in my life, I didn't know enough about how to manage people and that kind of stuff. And I needed more work, but like, it has been, it's been a struggle, or it was a struggle. And so now I'm like, nah, y'all can have this. I'm cool.
Yeah, managing people is hard work.
I'll be a coordinator, but even then, I was talking to the head coach the other day, and I was like, do you feel like, because the reason I still do this is because I like just coaching ball, just doing football, and that's all I want to do. It's just I want to coach ball. I was like, do you feel like when you became a head coach, you had to take a step away from that? And it's like, yeah. I was like, that's probably my biggest struggle with moving up, is you had to step away from what got you into the business in the first place. Mm-hmm. Which is connecting with kids, coaching a position, teaching technique, and seeing your kids progress and grow and that kind of thing, and being proud of, what you were able to get out of them, kind of thing. And that's, that's probably the thing that I struggle with the most with moving up is I would have to step away from that role, and that's what I enjoy. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be a head coach.
I got people that turn wrenches for me, and I always threaten them. I'm like, hey man, you want to go sit in this meeting for me? And they're like, nah, man, that's
nah.
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 Or I come in there carrying like a sheet of equations and like some pump curve, and I'm like, all right, we got to figure this out. And I go and sit down and like start doing it, and they're like, Rob, that's too much. And I'm like, no, the right answer is here somewhere. And they're like, can we just put it back together? No. Not yet. I have to figure this out first. Like, nah, man, it'll be fine. Let's just put it back together. It's like, no, we literally can't. It'll fail again. Like, I have to figure this shit out. Something's not right here. And I enjoy that stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That's the part that everyone else is like, that's a lot, Rob. What are you doing?
You can have all that.
You can have all that. Yeah, there was a guy. So there's this is kind of a funny story. So like, we have this air hoist, right? It goes up and down, and that's all it does. And you drag it across the rails, so it doesn't even have lateral movement. It's just up and down. And it takes like 90 psi to run comfortably, but it also has to have like so much airflow. It's like 24.7 CFM, cubic feet per minute, right? Which is pretty quick. And the air pressure that we have going to it is about 60. So it's right at the bare minimum that it'll move at. Mm-hmm. And so the operators are like, hey, can we just put in this pressure booster right here? This will work, and this will get the pressure up to like 90 psi, no problem. What do you think about that? I think it'll work great. And I'm like, do you understand? Like, you can't get something for nothing. Like, we can't just put in, we're going to lose something else, and I think we're going to lose too much flow. And they're like, well, we need to look into it, because I think it'll work just fine. I'm like, okay. So I sat down, I called the vendor up, and I'm like, all right, explain to me this, because it doesn't say in here how much airflow you're sacrificing to get this pressure, and I need to know this answer. He's like, oh, well, cut it down to about a third. And I was like, cut it down by 1/3? And he's like, no, to 1/3. So if you're at 30 psi, you get 10 out. Or 30 CFM, you get 10 out.
Frozen again.
So I'm sitting there, like, trying to figure this out, running the calculations. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
And the operator comes back, and he starts hitting me up on we have a little team chat, thing. Microsoft Teams is what our company uses. So he starts hitting me up on the old IM instant messenger, Yeah. Hey Rob, did you figure this out or whatever? And I'm like, I think it's more complicated than this, buddy. I'm still working on it. And so he sends me like this brochure catalog, and I send him like a little snippet of the calculations I'm doing, and I'm like, this is where we're at. I don't think it's gonna work. This setup's like not good enough. We're gonna need like 10 of them or something like that, or an air compressor, and we just it's going to take a lot of work to figure out whether or not. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's above my pay grade. Okay, good luck. Good luck with that. And it was just equations like, I don't know. I set him I need the velocity of this, the airflow of this, and this, and this, and this, and I don't have these variables, so we're gonna have to go figure these out. We're gonna have to go put some instruments on it and get the airflow that we currently have, and the velocity, and this and that. And, okay, man, whatever you need. Yeah, I'll be there.
So, to bring it back, let me just first say congratulations to all the Starbucks employees that formed their unions. There's an announcement that Starbucks is going to raise their prices, citing higher costs and higher worker costs. CEO gets $60 million for getting fired.
I need that job.
And
$60 million to pay me to go away.
And their profits went up 31%. Yeah. So, horse shit.
Always. But I don't drink that shit anyway.
I like Starbucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Overpriced trash.
But what
Dunkin' Donuts for $1.25.
Dunkin' Donuts is not good coffee. I know that's probably sacrilege for anybody in the Northeast, but fuck it, I don't know anybody up there. But no, I like Starbucks. I like. So what I do is
who has good coffee is Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's has good coffee.
I've never had Buc-ee's. QT has good coffee.
I'm
sure that's just community coffee that they sell in every single gas station.
Yeah, but the Buc-ee's, the big Buc-ee's we have here has good coffee.
Do you drive by Buc-ee's to get to work?
There's a Buc-ee's right by my house. The first Buc-ee's number 1 is right by my house.
Oh, wow. Number 1, huh? The first one?
Well, I say that because like he owned a convenience store out in I think it was West Columbia or something like that, and I don't think he had marketed it as Buc-ee's. So I think technically Buc-ee's 1 is the one by my house. He converted the one over that he owned first over to a Buc-ee's, but I could be wrong. It could be like 2 or 3, but it's one of the first 3. I know that.
Have you seen the new owner or the new president of the Amazon Labor Union?
No, is it the guy that we talked about last week?
It's Chris Smalls.
Yeah,
no,
it's
a black guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a picture of him eating with the president of the Teamsters, and it's hilarious because the president of the Teamsters is suited and booted, and Chris Smalls is just a regular dude. Like he's just like, hey, he's just a regular fucking guy that got fed up and started the union. Like it's a pretty cool story. Like he's just like got fed up with the bullshit and just tried to form a union and did. Like and it worked. And he didn't
he get fired and then still managed to start the union? Yeah.
He did. Like he got fired and then still kept working. I think he got cited for being inarticulate was what one of the reasons he got fired, and he says he's been reached out by 50 different locations since they were able to pass their union. Like 50 different locations have reached out to him to form a union at their location. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Good for him. Good luck. Good luck to you.
I know. This is kind of a cool story how it kind of worked out. I think honestly, I hope unions come back big, and I think they are. I mean, you probably won't be able to. At your position, you won't be able to join one because you're too high up. You're too close to the source.
I have manager in my title, so I'm definitely not just like reliability manager now. It's not reliability engineer. They made it a manager position. And it just has to do with corporate structuring, but yes, it is.
But I will say though, my wife works for a grocery store chain that has a union, and all the members of the labor force are in the union when you join. I think it's optional, but most people join it because it's Texas and you have to.
Because it's Texas, it has to be optional.
But in her position, because she works in the pharmacy, she's not allowed to join, which is weird because it's managerial less, because she makes a lot more money than the other people, I guess. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she still gets the insurance benefits that the union gets. Mm-hmm. And so her insurance is like $50 a month for her and the kids.
That happens to the operators around here too.
Like I said, I mean, shit, I'll take it. You don't get all the benefits, but shit, $50 a month for health insurance that's amazing.
There's possibility. Well, actually, no, I don't think so. They signed the contract. There was talk that there was going to be a strike this year. Actually, there was talk last year that there was going to be a strike
at your plant.
Mm-hmm. Site-wide, so like across like 30-something production facilities, and I think there was talk that it was going to happen in 21. They punted to this year, and I think they signed the contracts this year around March, just last month.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've been kind of disconnected from that since I left the old facility. At my old facility, the union steward for the entire site was one of the operators, so I kind of had the skinny on everything that was going on, both from the operator side and the managerial side. So it was interesting.
That's crazy. That is crazy. It's kind of fun though.
If the operators had gone on strike, and they did it before, I think they did it the last time was in 2007 or 8, maybe earlier. They took all the staff guys, and they knew it was coming. Like, everybody kind of knew it was coming. Because it's dangerous not to. Like, on our job, you can't just walk off. The place will blow up and kill everybody, right? So
right.
They worked out a deal where, like, they trained up, or at least spent time training us, staff, like the staff people, to be an operator, right? And so, like, I wasn't hired in at this time. I just heard stories about this, but, like...
So, like they did at John Deere?
I guess. I don't know. Like, so like they had
got like 3 wrecks.
Yeah, so they had one of the global reliability engineers, the position higher than mine, right? Trained up to be an operator at one of these facilities, and like go out and turn valves and stuff. And then like they had a couple of guys in on the board, like pushing buttons that barely knew what the hell the mod was doing. Most of the run plants, I think, became board guys, the run plant engineers, the operations engineers, because they're a little closer to that. A lot of the maintenance guys just stayed maintenance guys, like, hey, we need you to go fix this. And since the machinists had all like left with the operators back then, they were out there taking stuff apart, red tagging it themselves, tagging it out themselves, taking everything apart. I was like, man, that sounds dangerous. You got one set of eyes looking at the isolation.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that drove. Are you still there?
I'm still here. I hear you.
That drove John Deere to go ahead and settle with their union, is because they were having engineers try to operate their facilities and they kept fucking shit up. Like they were like, it was costing them a lot of money. So not only was it costing them money in product because they couldn't move as much product, but it was also costing them money in damages because the engineers were like really screwing stuff up. Apparently there were some injuries. Like it was pretty bad. And so, John Deere ended up, the employees ended up winning a lot. The auto workers union, as I guess it was UAW.
whatever it was.
I don't know if that's their UAW or whatever, but I don't know. It's still it was still kind of one of those things where it was like they were trying to continue business and they couldn't. What
There's a
one
lot
of
of
the things
engineers
though,
who don't have a good grasp on what physically happens in the field.
no, yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of them. Yeah,
That's true.
most of them didn't come like I did, coming up doing construction, like in high school and stuff. So
they came up tinkering. But you said something earlier that kind of I wanted to tie back to the mental health stuff. You said something about, men needing to work in order to be fulfilled and that kind of thing. And while I do think that's true, but also we don't want to have to live to work or work to live.
Yeah.
Or either one of those things.
You got to find fulfillment in something, and a lot of people find it in work. I guess is what I was trying to say. Right,
which is I think that's dangerous if you're finding your fulfillment in work. There are some things that when people say find something you love to do and then find a way to make money doing it, and you'll never work a day in your life. Right? Which is strange because generally you find a way to hate the thing that you once loved because now you have to do it in order to survive instead of doing it for when you loved it. Right? Now you have to. And they find a way to exploit it and take your love away of the thing. So I don't know, man. I think people need a hobby.
I think it comes into like you said, a lot of men, and it is again tying back to the last episode, but a lot of men, maybe not even a lot, but most, if not all, need to feel needed, right? And respected.
Yeah.
And those two things, needed and respected, I think are for women it's like love and affection. For men it's like need and respect.
Yeah. I'm with that.
If you don't have those two things in your life somewhere, it's going to cause problems.
You're going to struggle
mentally.
Be
struggling, right? And you need both of them, for some men they feel that respect from work and the need from home, and that's what gets them through. It's best to have both in both places, obviously, but maybe that's not happening for you, and you feel, I know when I graduated college, it took me a long time to find work. It was like 2 years out of work, just doing bullshit, right? And I was in a pretty bad place overall. Yeah. And it destroyed the relationship I was in at the time, right?
Yeah. Because she had found a job.
She had found a job. She was making six figures right out of college, and it's like, why the fuck can't you? What's wrong with you? And it's like, oh, I'm an average white guy with an average score, and I graduated the year that NASA fired all its engineers. So, fuck you. Like just demographically speaking, I was not what they were looking for, and educationally and experience-wise. Like I wasn't what the companies could hire at that point. So I was pretty down on myself. It wasn't until 2 years later when I finally got my foot in the door that they were like, "Oh, hey, he's pretty good. Like, yeah, he partied in high school, but he's actually really good at this stuff. Let's put him on." Partied in college, yeah, not high school. I was a good guy in high school. Anyway, so like, I get it. That's personal experience for me. Like, it's real. And like, you know, I've got backup plans and backup plans right now. Like if I lose my job, I can go feed my family at any machine shop around here, around town. People know me. They know I work. Like, it's not a big deal, right?
You're gonna be okay.
Like, yeah, I'm the engineer who's out there like sweating with the guys, or at least I was, like pulling the lids off the compressor, like because it's got to get done. So I mean, the people that I've worked with know me, and I'm not concerned about like having a backup plan. I've got that, you know. But other people don't even have plan A.
Yeah.
Much less plan B and C, you know. And so.
No, yeah. It's true. I mean, I've got the same because you know,
that emasculated feeling is real, and it will drive men to depression. You know, another thing is stress related is like at my old facility, my stress level, I didn't even realize how bad it was until I left. And I think that's a lot of a lot of men have that same situation they're in, where they don't realize how deep and how much it's affecting everything about their life. I mean, when I left that facility, my stress level went basically to the bottom, all the way down. I was in over my head, and I went to the bottom, and everything about my life changed. Like, the relationship with my wife got better, spending more time with my kid, hanging out, having fun. Everything was better, and she's just like, thank God you left that place. Like, I didn't even realize how bad it was.
Yeah. But I mean, that's true for any work. I think if you know, if you're feeling stressed out at work, like honestly, there's a part of me that I enjoy the stress sometimes. Like
to a point,
to a point. Like I like, you know, I enjoy the build up to game day, and I enjoy the practice and the work and the things that it takes to put the product on the field, right? Yeah. Like that's and then the competition, like and this and there's a part of me that enjoys the stress that goes along with it, the build up to the
and those are healthy stressors, and those are good healthy stressors that make you better, right? And that's not what I'm talking about, though. This is not what I'm talking about. I know. There's a healthy level of stress. Like for me, having deadlines is good for me, right? Like I have it on my board. I have deadlines. I know what I've got to get done. I'm not the stupid high schooler that like waits until the last minute, because these things take time. And I understand, like, I've got to meet with all of these people way before any of this stuff comes down, so that I can have a final product on the boss's desk when those deadlines are due. Anyway, I think that's it for time, man.
Yeah. It's time to get going. Good one today. I think hopefully people will tune in.
I may tie these together. I may cut this section and slap it on the end of the other one, or I don't know, keep them separate. We'll see. I might get lazy with it. It's probably what's going to happen. All right, bro.
All right. Bye. Thank you for watching this episode of BroPartisan Hacks with Reese and Rob. We really, really appreciate you watching, tuning in. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to us. We're putting out content as often as we can. Share it with your friends. Get it out there. Get our names out there. Also, hit that bell, tap that bell right there so that you can get updated when we put out a new video. Rob and I are trying to pump these videos out as often as we can. However, we both have day jobs, we have families, so our schedules have to line up so that we can make a new video. Speaking of our day jobs, our opinions and views expressed are our own and in no way represent those of our respective employers. Thank you. Thanks again for watching.